Hello and welcome back to the channel. Okay, today what I'm going to go over is I want to go over the assembly of your power steering shaft. Did not seem to find too many videos showing how this was done. This shaft came with my CJ as one of the parts that came with it. It's a brand new shaft, but mine was in pieces and it was not assembled. So I did look online. It did have all the pieces and was complete. It comes with a new clamping strap for up where it mounts to the attaches to the steering column. It does not come with a new clamping strap to fit the coupler where it attaches to the power steering box. I did have to order this. It was an Omix 18018.07. If you're doing a replacement, you probably could just reuse your old one, provided it doesn't get damaged. But I wanted to, I needed a new one. I did not have the old one. So these are different in size. This one takes more of a, I believe, like a 5/8 bolt, hex head bolt, whereas this one will take more like a 9/16. This one takes, the lower one looks like you'd actually use a bolt and nut. This top one, I'm going to probably try and get like a carriage bolt. I think that would work good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get the assembly started. First, the boot goes in place. We can slide that up out of the way. These square pieces. Now, I don't know if this was a machining defect or if this is something that's very common with these Omix units. I had to take some emery cloth, and this pin here, you can see it's very shiny compared to the other one, and take some of the diameter down a little bit so that these pieces would fit on top of it. The bottom one fit fine. The top one was a little too big, so I just used a piece of emery cloth and took it down, and now it seems to fit fine. We'll go ahead and grease that up. Once the boot's in place, these pieces have to get put on the pins with grease. This little spring clip will then go in here between those two pieces, and then you're going to push these together and put it into this coupler, and obviously there's going to be grease inside of this as well. Now, when I set mine up, I think depending upon your vehicle would depend upon your positioning. I'm going to set up mine with these grooves on opposite sides of each other, just so that obviously with this one facing toward the outside of the vehicle, this one facing toward the outside of the vehicle will be much easier to get, leaning over this fender. This one from the front, looking at the front of the vehicle, I think that if the bolt is on the inside, it'll be much easier to come up underneath and grab it. Oops, sorry about my hand coming up at the camera there. And be much easier to get get that bolt out to go ahead and remove it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get set up. I'm going to start working to getting that boot in place. It's going to take a little bit of work. It looks like it's a very tight fit, so I'm probably going to get the heat gun out, heat it up a little bit, and then have to stretch it over top here. A little bit of screwdriver action, try not to tear it, and get it into place. All right, let's go ahead and get set up. Okay, so it's going to be take 2 on moving forward with this, assembling the steering shaft. As you can see here, I got 2 boots. My first one did tear. It had a manufacturing date of around 2015, 2016, so I don't know if it was just from age, but I did find that there are 2 boots. There's an Omix boot and a Crown boot. The Crown boot, there's a part number on it, which is a little different from, obviously different from the Omix part number. They both look almost identical. The Crown one is it looks like a little thicker. So I'm actually going to work with that one first. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up. I'm going to use some dish soap on here to stretch it. I will heat it a little bit, and I'm going to set this up so we can try and get this on film. Okay, so I'm going to take some dish soap, just really lube up this end of the steering shaft where the boot's going to slide over. I'm also going to take some and Really try and get some into where it's going to be sliding over the shaft. Anything I think that'll help this get on there a little easier. I'm going to go ahead and take the heat gun, add a little heat to it. Now obviously we don't want to melt it, we just want to warm it up just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to take this and see if we can get this to slide on and over. Hopefully we didn't make it too slippery. This is sliding right off of there. Now, when I had done it earlier, on the first one, before using any screwdrivers or anything, I was able to get one pin in and then basically push the boot on, kind of like so. All right. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to slide a thin screwdriver up there, see if we can get up over that top pin. I want to make sure this bottom, though, the ribs are clear, because that seemed to be where I stretched it to its limits last time and ended up tearing it, unfortunately. I'm going to add a little more soap to that, just because it's just soap, and bottom line, we can clean it off afterwards if we don't like what's on there, before we grease it up. I do think that this Omex, the crown boot, definitely is thicker material than the Omex boot. Okay, as you can see there. Now we're just gonna try and gently, see, I'm pulling on that other one. See, that's what you want to be careful of. I don't want that to go through. The boots are not expensive, but when you're ordering them and you're waiting for them to try and get something done, that's kind of a pain in the rear. Okay, as you can see, I'm getting it over. Okay, we got one side, but see, now we got to be careful, because now you're this is where I tore it the last time, because now you get onto this accordion section, and there we go. All right, that worked out better than it did the last time. Okay, it's on, no tears. All right, now let me go ahead and I'm going to wipe this down. And sorry if I was out of the camera view there. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down. Get these greased up to get the square blocks on here, and then the spring pin. We're going to put grease inside of here, and that'll assemble together. And then finally, this locking clip will lock the boot into here. We're not going to pack this full of grease. We are going to grease it liberally, but it doesn't need to be packed with grease. All right, so we are, this is all greased together. Spring clip is in. All right, just popped out there. Got to line these up. There we go. And then we have this liberally greased inside. And we're going to take this, line it up, and pull the boot back, make sure that that's not in the way. Okay. Making a mess here with the grease. When I mentioned to you earlier about these being a tight fit, as you can see, this one's a little tight on here. This is the one that I had to take some of the diameter down on. So we're gonna pop that on. All right, I had to take this back apart because this one square piece was, like I was showing you earlier, where it was real stiff. Took a little bit more off of that pin just so that it moved smoothly. There was a little edge that it was catching on, and that seemed to, just that little bit of tightness was really preventing it from wanting to go in. And there you go. And then once it slides in, as you can see, almost works like a universal joint. And this allows for, you know, an in and out sliding of the shaft. And then the boot will slide into place. You're going to work the boot in. You're going to get that large inner lip all the way inserted into the coupler. Okay. And then this spring clip, as you can see, the spring clip crosses over. I want to bring this over. line up one of the bends there with, there's a locking groove in the coupler. I'm going to go ahead and get this into here. Okay, so I apologize for ended up doing that off camera. Had to manipulating this spring in there is not an easy task. The boot is very thick. It's got a lip there, and it's very tight tolerance where it fits, and then you end up squeezing this part of the spring, and it locks in on both sides. And as you can see, it overlaps. Let's see if I can get better light there. You can see it overlapping right there. It's a little tricky to work in. It's almost like dealing with a snap ring but not able to use any snap ring pliers. But once it locks in, it is in place. As you can see, the unit moves. It's nice and tight, but it does move smoothly. All right, so we can go ahead. That concludes the assembly of the steering shaft. I have to say, if anybody's doing this and you buy the kit and you get an Omix boot, I will say I did like the Crown boot much better. It's thicker. To me, it seemed like a better, more durable material. And as well as I said earlier in the video, you will need to get a clamping strap for the coupler if you don't already have or are not able to use your pre-existing one if you're just doing a replacement. That concludes this video. Thank you very much for watching and joining us. If you have any comments or suggestions, please put them below. Please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Thank you very much and have a great day.